Soon. 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 Tasty. Soon. Oh, wait. Sorry. Let me turn around. Okay. There we go. And soon. Soon. Now, if you'll excuse me, I really hate rocks.
Hello, my fellow hunters. It is once again time to enter another dimension as we talk of the monsters that could have been, monsters that still might be. See, it is exciting times, so we have an entirely new treasure trove of lore, of ecology, of secrets and tidbits and just concept art galore to delve into. All of it shining brighter than the caverns of El Dorado.
What?
Don't worry, Kulve. We'll get to you. But first, let's get to something very completely super exciting. So it's no secret that one of Iceborne's biggest disappointments, let's say, is, well, the monster variety. Because there is a lot of monsters in the game now, a really healthy amount, but the breadth of them leaves a little bit to be desired. We don't have any of the quirky fringe types of monsters that we used to have. There's no insects, there's no Leviathans, there's no snakes or no frogs, there's only one fanged beast in the form of Rajang, the quirkier ones left behind. It's generally just lacking that extra little bit of spice to really round out the monster edges, round like a Zamtrios ball. What? What? So, when it comes to those categories of monsters, well, there may indeed be hope. We may get to see a Celtus mount his queen in glorious fidelity. I could have chosen probably a better example, but you know, it's fun! We have this little excerpt, and it's not much, it really isn't, but it is enough for hope. So, previously known species of smaller monsters have been identified in the New World, include herbivores such as aptonops, neopterans like vespoids and hornitars, fish such as gadua gills, winged drakes including Murnos and Noios, and feline lilians. Regarding large monsters of the New World, known Old World individuals such as Carapecians, fanged beasts, Leviathans, Temnocerans, snake wyverns, and amphibians have yet to be discovered. But, depending on the results of further investigations, we may yet find proof of these groups in the New World. Oh, and I said it's not much, but that is, to me, just the faintest glimmer of promise to really believe in, to let myself think that it might just happen, and that there is opportunity. The idea is open, maybe not as a DLC monster, but certainly when we get round to Monster Hunter 6 or World 2, or they've said they don't really like the number naming scheme anymore, so whatever it is they call it, but I would say we'd be remaining in the New World and simply exploring further, and with further exploration, well, comes these forgotten classes of monster that are so good. Even something like a Malfestio, the full-on owl to diversify the bird wyverns, would be great. Just more flyy bird wyverns in general. Even some categories that are represented are still crying out for their more fascinating members. But that is enough of that. Today, then, I want to also focus on and talk about, well, two creatures and what they could have been. We will start with Xeno'jiiva, the Emperor of all Elder Dragons. Which, honestly, the more I think of that title for him, the curious it gets, because how can he be the Emperor of all Elder Dragons when Xeno'jiiva isn't? Now, granted, they're the same thing, the same creature, the same species, so if Xeno is the Emperor, then so is Safi. He's just grown up a bit, but I feel like it was a little bit premature to give Xeno that title. Either way, his design could have ended up being radically different. So imagine, if you will, this! 4 goddamn arms to start with. Really a lot of grabbers for grabbing. And I, for one, do not want to be grabbed by anything that looks like this. It's like some weird insectoid, snaky horse dragon. And I don't know how where did horse come from? What about that looks like a horse? I don't even know where that came from. It's absolutely... But nevertheless, the glow across it, the patterning, the almost like branchy looking patterns up his wings, the spikes, the evil grin. I mean, imagine that emerging from the Xeno cocoon. That would have been something else. And I really, glad we got the design that we did. But even then, we could have ended up with something much more, well, bird-like almost. Look at this little tidbit. Perched upon a jutting of rock, the razor-sharp talons on the wings, much more agile, clearly would have been much faster. Definitely an entirely creature vibe whatsoever. I would love, absolutely love for that to still rear its head as a monster, because all these designs are designs that they like. Some discarded because they're just not practical as monsters, some discarded because they don't work for the design goal of the monster, because this isn't really the most ancient alien energy dragon vibe, but it certainly is a solid design. And imagine a large monster wing drake, which is something I really want, and yes, it may be hard to differentiate that from a flying wyvern or even a bird wyvern, but if they could do it, make the fight feel like you're fighting a giant hawk, not a dragon-y thing with wings, but an actual swooping hawk, bird of prey, giant monstrous survival. I think that would be so good. I think the wing drakes as a whole new category of creature need a large monster, or at least maybe like a great Noyos. I don't know why that was so alarming to them, because they're like alarm birds. They screech when things get close. Alright, we almost had something that admittedly is quite snaky, quite Leviathan, a very long, live, thin body that really evokes quite the sense of dread when you got those arcing wings curving up above it, seeing how it would perch ready to strike. I mean, that is a very evocative monster, the almost jutting, jabbing beak, like a hummingbird, but, you know, a kind of mutated, deadly one. But something like that would evoke a sense of dread quite unlike anything else, especially when you look at almost an upgraded bony version of it. It looks like a living spine. Somebody's just whacked a face on a ripped out spinal cord, put on some wings for good measure, and just let this Cthulhian horror loose in the goddamn world. It is horrifying. And I absolutely adore it. I love the extra sails on its back. I love the thinness of his body. It's kind of like they did take something like Najirala, a snaky wyvern, and give it those wings. There is so much potential for an entire creature structure that we've just never seen before, and it looks like we almost got that with Xeno, but then it was brought back in line to fit a more established skeleton. And I feel like that might be the crux of it when it comes to a lot of these, because it's clear they have some incredible, fantastical, out there ideas that would work and would be beautiful monsters to fight, but they just would require an entirely unique set of skeleton and animations, and that's hard to justify for a single creature in the game. Likely that's why we didn't get these fringe category monsters, because there's so few of them. You either add them and then add a load more, like the Fanged Beast got in World, or you don't really add them, at least for your first foray into this whole new style of Monster Hunter. But I have to highlight my favourite here, because I think this thing is utterly beautiful. Behold, the Seahorse Dragon! It's just great! It Oh, the bony spike ridges going down it, the classic seahorse belly pouch, these almost ethereal, ghostly wings. You could just imagine the pearlescent glow down the entire length of it. If Xeno came out the cocoon like this, gently fluttering in the air, maybe the wings not even moving that much, more of a floating type look, and he attacked and fought by letting his tail scrape against the ground as he strafed over you above, and behind in its wake sends out sparks of crystals, leaving a line of his blue fire to explode along the path of it, whipping at you as he unleashes his ultimate attack. I bet you've never seen a seahorse give birth before, but it's quite unlike anything I have witnessed. Shotgun blasts of babies straight at your hunter from the belly of Seahorse Xeno. You think about that. You think about that next time you're going to sleep, and you're welcome. But no, how incredible would a seahorse dragon be? You could really do some wonders with an almost half-permanently aerial but half-permanently grounded style, with a part of the creature always aloft until maybe you break apart or do enough damage, and a part of the creature always dragging around on the floor to give you a little bit of access. You could be so creative with that body shape and manner of movement. I really, really love it. We even get a few little tidbits of information on these designs that are absolutely fascinating to see. Applying to most of them, reports describe a myriad of unique characteristics. Some accounts suggest it has 4 arms, or other perhaps result of a translucent body, suggest a shell-like exoskeleton. So Mr. Spine Dragon, Mr. Forearms, and Mr. Giant Wing Drake might even have insectoid origins, and that is ridiculously cool. A giant insect elder dragon swooping above. Oh, I really, really need it. But to move on then, we have our favorite golden goddess, Kulve Taroth, and she was almost vastly different. Like, really different. Almost very, very spiky, and with a face that really showed you how grumpy she was. I am, let's say, really happy it didn't end up looking like this. As much as spikes can be good in a certain circumstance, and, you know, it is iron sand, which is a really neat idea before gold came into the play, it doesn't quite carry the same impact that Kulve Taroth may have done. Let's just leave it at that. But then we look at what appeared to have been the main contender before we got the Kulve that we did, and it's actually really awesome. The horn style much more stag-like, you know, much more majestic, not the curly goat, but a more regal look to it. The cloak a lot more frilled, the gait a lot higher off the ground, a more live body, the scaling more apparent. This genuinely does look like Kulve Taroth, but different. And to me, imagine if this was male Kulve Taroths. The female, of course, the one that we have, though supposedly that's not confirmed, it's just everyone's best guess. But the idea that this then is the male, and we have a Rathalos-Rathian setup of, you know, very differences between the genders, and you have this look, much less about the gold, more about the horns, you could really start to see that, see the pair of them, maybe a bond attack of just waves of gold and fury. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. Reports presenting contradictory descriptions have led us believe there may be more than one Kulve Taroth. These conflicting observations may be due to a sexual difference, however, as these may be male. Differences in their metallic armor are also seen. Don't you just love it when you look at some concept art, reel off an idea that popped into your head for a video, then go read the official description for that, because, you know, it's nice to read it for the first time while recording so everyone can hear your genuine reaction, and then you read that the hinting and confirmation is literally just the thing that you came up with, making you look like an absolute idiot. I adore that! See? I know what I'm talking about! I have good ideas, because they've already been had by the actual, you know, real designers of these monsters. Okay, on that note, that's a little bit of a look at some lovely concepts. There is plenty more, so let me know if you would like to see, well, plenty more, because they really are just fantastic. Hold on to hope that we will get our weird and wonderful friends. And until next time, let me know what you thought. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more. A goodbye.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.